Hi guys, welcome to my channel Nadine Speaks. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you aren't a subscriber, will you do me a favor and hit that subscribe button down below so that we can be friends and you can see my videos. So today I wanted to talk about a topic that's pretty serious, and it's something that I personally experienced and I'm still getting over. It really just happened recently. I would say it's been 6 months really since I got out of that situation. So basically what happened to me was I was in a emotional and mentally abusive relationship for 2 years, and it kind of just, I can't even explain what it's like getting out of it and looking back in hindsight. I mean, they really do say hindsight is 20/20 for a reason. Looking back, I can see where I went wrong, and it took me a while through therapy, through talking with my friends, through, just going back in the situation and seeing what I could have done different, and also being real with myself of what was happening to me at that time, and really to talk to myself and tell myself it's okay that I went through it, but I'm so much stronger for getting out of it, which is really important when you're going through situations that are so mentally taxing. So basically in this video I want to show you what gaslighting is, where the term originated, what are some red flags that you can spot in your relationship. And by the way guys, this can be with any relationship, so it can be a significant other, parent, sibling, friend, really any kind of relationship this can happen. I used to tell myself that something like this could never happen to me and that I was more mentally strong than this, but you never know what kind of situation happens, especially when you're with a master manipulator, that can change your whole version of what reality is, isolate yourself in front of your family and friends, and really put a kind of pattern of negative self-talk in your head so that you really can't get out of it. So let's start with the basics. What is gaslighting? Well, gaslighting is a term that they use when somebody manipulates somebody psychologically into thinking that they're insane. So you can see how this is a very tricky situation to get out of. Well, the term originated from a 1940s film called Gaslight. It was originally a play, but then it was made into a film, and it was about this guy who manipulated his wife. He had murdered a woman, and he was fidgeting with her jewels on the second floor. The gas lights were flickering on the bottom floor, and the woman, when she said something to her husband, he was like, well, dear, you're just making this stuff up, it's all in your head. And it's really turned into something that happens quite often, I feel, in relationships with people, whether it be bosses, whether it be presidents, whether it be your parents or even your significant other. And it's really kind of scary when you think about how you're vulnerable with all these kinds of people, and that you're putting faith in and trusting that they're not going to hurt you in this kind of way. But honestly, when you're the most vulnerable, that's when it's the opportune time to manipulate somebody, unfortunately. Red flags that I saw in my past relationship were, number one, I want to stress this point, this is my number one, because self-projection is a hell of a drug. So self-projection is when somebody projects how they feel, but they pretend that you're the one that feels that way, really. So it kind of breaks your whole reality into all the emotions that you're telling them that's how they make you feel. They twist it back on you, so they make you feel like you're the one who did that to them, and it just starts making you feel horrible. A number two sign is when you start lying. I think lying is probably one of the biggest signs other than self-projection. So I'm not really a liar, but I started lying, and I really don't know why. Looking back, I don't know why I started lying. It was little things. It was like not telling my parents certain things, not being comfortable telling my sister certain things. It's really because I wanted people's perception of somebody to be so perfect. I didn't want people commenting on my relationship because I was so insecure about our relationship because of the manipulation, that I started lying to all the people that I trusted around me before. I would was in this relationship. Number 3 is you begin to isolate yourself from relationships. So kind of what happens is they're trying to control your perception of reality, and they are so keen on making your perception of reality theirs, that because your reality has changed so much, it's easy for you to start saying that the way your parents feel about something, oh, that's not really how it is. I honestly began picking up the tactics that he used on me, on my relationships that were the strongest to me, and I became feeling so alone. So because he was creating this kind of smoke and mirrors about what my reality really is, all the key family, friends, all my support system began to completely diminish. And it really diminished because I trusted his opinion so much, and I thought everybody else was wrong. No, you're wrong. It's so easy, you know, you have that Romeo and Juliet fantasy that, oh no, two scorned lovers that aren't meant to be together, they fight and then they're together and they end up together despite what anybody else thought. I had this picture perfect fantasy in my head, but then I realized, you know, I stripped down my sense of what relationships really are, and it's really two people that you trust with your emotional vulnerability and you trust with your perception of reality. And once you can't trust somebody with the perception of reality and having them lie to you over and over again or make you feel like you're insignificant. So that leads me to my 4th thing is they stop validating your feelings. They make you feel like your feelings are insignificant, that what you're feeling is really not true of how you should be feeling in the situation. And then you begin doubting yourself. So it leads, you know, the negative self-talk, and negative self-talk, it just snowballs into depression really, and you kind of feeling hopeless that you can get out of this situation that you feel like you put yourself into. But what you don't realize is that other person put you into that situation. Now that they've isolated you through all your relationships and your feelings are not validated, kind of pin you in this corner of emotional like exhaustion, and you become so exhausted. So I guess the 5th sign I would look out for is you're literally mentally and emotionally exhausted. You just start believing them because you just give up whatever you want to believe. I don't care, I'm just so emotionally exhausted. I stopped really talking about what I wanted to talk about. I just let them talk and talk and talk and talk. And honestly, I became so isolated and negative self-talk with myself. Basically, he ruined my relationship with myself and ruined every relationship around me. And I had cut so many people off that, I mean, till this day, I don't know how I'm gonna mend some of those relationships, and I'm still working on those relationships. But let me give you a very big key to success that I have learned over these past 6 months, is that once you repair your relationship with yourself, the relationships in your life will magically repair themselves, because you're really looking through life in a different lens. And once you have the positive self-talk down and you kind of suppress those negative thoughts that you know, that were so abundantly there before, it kind of makes everything just crystal clear, and you can finally start living in the present and living for yourself instead of anybody else. It's so weird to say this, but it wasn't until I started going to the gym and actually focusing on myself that I noticed that, you know, he was a real drag and that I'm better than this. And it took a lot of talking to my parents. If you're going through a similar situation, here are some steps that I recommend, kind of how I got out of it. It's almost like a spiritual and emotional cleansing is what I can call it. So you have to detoxify all the negative self-talk that he put inside your head, all the negative reality that he created for you. You literally have to pull it off of you, because trust me, it's gonna want to stick on. That stuff is so sticky. It's hard to get off, especially when you're feeling so down, those negative emotions. Here are some steps that I did to get out of it. The number 1 thing that I can't stress enough is therapy. So I was lucky enough that my work had a therapist that I could go to for free, like 3 free sessions. But if you don't, I can link some spots down below where they have, you know, free kind of counseling and stuff like that online, which is really helpful if you don't have the means to seek help. or if you kind of want to seek help in private and not let the person that's manipulating you know that you are seeking help, because you really don't want them to know. That's not how you get out of it. I went to therapy. In therapy, she started validating my feelings. So once my feelings were validated, it was like, no girl, he is really doing this to you. You need to get out. So I broke up with him. I got out of the relationship. They're gonna want to come back, trust me. So number one was therapy. Get your mind thinking, get your mind going, get you somebody to go back to everything that happened, organize it the way best you can, put the pieces together, because it's all gonna be confusing to you. So a therapist can really sit down with you and has the right tools to get you in the right mindset to start growing on the person that you blossom into. Because the situation is so negative, you just need to start having positive self-talk. So I started practicing talking to myself positively, and one good way to do this is, my number 2 recommendation is, when you wake up in the morning, do mantras in the mirror. Tell yourself, force yourself to look in the mirror every day and say, I am worthy, I am beautiful. I will probably post a video in the near future of mantras that I pretty focus on to stay in the positive mindset. Number 3 is not only start mending the relationship within yourself, but mend the relationship of the people that he isolated you from. So for me, it was mending the relationship with my mother and father and my sister and my best friend, and it took me recognizing what had happened, owning up to doing those things, but also telling them at the same time that that wasn't me. That was somebody's perception that had like totally changed my reality. That was like, it was kind of, I had become like a shell of a person, is the only way I can describe it. Now that we've talked about mending the relationships with everybody else, another thing you can do, and trust me, because they're gonna want to come back, is cut ties with the person that's manipulating you. I cannot stress that enough. So what you're gonna want to do is, even if they try to call you, block their number, block any social media, and honestly, block them from even speaking of them. I know you're gonna like want to speak of them. It's fine when you're talking about how to mend the relationships, but where you want to stop talking about them is, stop idolizing them in your head, because basically what these kind of people do is, they're narcissistic, right? So this kind of behavior stems out of narcissists, and what narcissists do is they like to create a reality that is perfect for them, and they want to control the situation so that they control every aspect of your life. Well, you're one aspect of their life, and when they finally realize that they can't control you, that's when you gain the most freedom. Even if these people threaten you, stalk you, whatever, do anything legal, anything you need to do to get out of their miss in particular, because these people are going to keep crawling back, right? Because the only power they had is with you. They can't control anything in their life, so they control you. This has been a very kind of hard topic to talk about for me. I've been going through it the past 6 months. It isn't until now that I make this video, because I know that what I say can really help other people going through the same thing. Leave any comments down below of any questions that you have for me. I know I tried my best to explain it the way I kind of experienced it, and kind of the steps that I took to get out of it. I am by no means a professional, so if you're going through any of this, please seek professional help. Leave a comment down below if you've experienced this, if you know people going through it and how you got out of it. And if you have any questions for me about the situation, I would love to hear, what you guys are thinking about this topic and what other topics you would like for me to cover. I wanted to create this kind of thing called Speak Up, where everybody's opinions or experiences can be heard, and I thought YouTube was the best community to do that. That way we can actually have a conversation about our experiences and how we've learned from them and how we can grow from them. So thank you guys so much for watching. It means so much to me. Please hit that like button down below so I can see if you actually like these kinds of videos. And thank you for watching. Have a good day, guys.